everyone in your life ever will die. You will die, and there's no getting around this certain, inevitable fact. All living organisms and eventually everything will cease to exist. So, knowing this, how do we live our lives knowing that it'll all just eventually end? And since it'll all eventually end, is there even really a point to existing in the first place? We don't get to choose our circumstances, but we get to choose how we respond to them. You could be dealt the worst hand of cards. You could not have a house to live in, not have a car, not even know if you're gonna have a meal every day, yet be joyful. Or you could have the nicest car, a big family, the nicest house, and yet hate your life. You could spend your whole life chasing something. Fame, wealth, acceptance, popularity, you name it, and yet you could still be unjoyful. Or in contrast, you could have nothing, and yet you could still be grateful in all your day-to-day circumstances and take advantage of every single day. Ecclesiastes 1:14 says, I have seen everything done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and a striving after the wind. Generations come and generations go. You will be forgotten 1,000 years from now, probably 100 years from now. So maybe the point of this life isn't to accomplish something big for yourself. Maybe the point of this life isn't to live it for yourself. Maybe we weren't to live this life on this earth like it's the only place and only thing we'll ever know, as so many do live their lives this way. I think many people treat this life as the only thing they'll ever know, so they try to live these crazy picture-perfect lives, when in reality, maybe this life wasn't meant for that. Maybe we weren't meant to live our lives that way. People treat death as the final gateway to eternal nothingness. So they try to do everything with the little they have to find as much satisfaction as they can in this life, when in reality they don't realize that death is just the gateway to something so much bigger. This life isn't all there is. This is just the beginning. Erwin Lutzer said it perfectly. Death is the chariot our Heavenly Father sends to bring us to Himself. What's the point of living this life for yourself if it's just going to disappear the moment you die? The beauty of this life is that it can be lived for something and someone so much greater than ourselves, for a purpose so much greater than ours that will last so much longer. The point of this life is to live it for Jesus. Everything you do is eventually meaningless, like what Ecclesiastes 1:4 says, generations come and generations go. You will be forgotten. So you might as well try to do everything in your power to live life beyond this little, vain, fleeting life we have, because everything you do will eventually end and is meaningless and will turn to dust anyways, so might as well live it for something greater. We were never meant to live this life for ourselves. We were never meant to live this life like it's the only place we'll ever know. We love and appreciate every circumstance and are joyful in everything in our lives because Jesus did it first. And since Jesus' death is the gateway to a life much greater than I'm living, why would I want to live my life for myself? If death is the inevitable fate of everybody, it seems purely foolish to me to live for yourself, since it'll eventually end anyways. Why would you not want to live for something that lasts so much longer and is so much greater? Since everything will eventually turn to dust anyways, why would you not want to live for the imperishable, eternal things that go beyond this life? The beauty of the Christian life is we're called to love not because it'll save us or even necessarily make our lives better, but because the God of the universe that is so much greater and has a much greater plan and purpose and life for us and goes way beyond existence, did it first. Death will consume us all. So what will you do despite that, and how will you live your life knowing that? And who ultimately are you going to live your life for? If this video encouraged you or helped you, consider subscribing. I make content like this on my channel. You can check out my channel, and I actually also just recently created a Substack where I dive deeper into the same Christian theological topics, so if you're interested, consider checking that out. Above all, remember, While this life is fleeting, living for the life ahead is so much more rewarding, and it's the only life that will actually last eternally.